Hello, Libra. This is your personal month forecast for November 2023. As we start out the month, where you can see the main focus is definitely still in Scorpio. This is not only just the, general area of focus, but also we've had some major, huge transformation and change there with the eclipse season, specifically with that full moon lunar eclipse on October 28th. So we're just coming out of that as we start out the month. So what does that mean for you? So for you, Scorpio is your second house. Second house has everything to do with income, money, and on a deeper level, it's how you support yourself. You are intending and working on fledging, a fuller existence, if that makes sense. So in other words, your mind's on your money, your money's on your mind right now. You're hustling, you're working harder. What I tend to find is oftentimes, not always, but most of the time when you have such a focus on your second house, you may be making more money than usual, but you're also spending more money than usual as well. And you can break it down by each planet. Mercury, Mars, and the Sun are all in Scorpio. Again, that's your second house. Sun just shows that that's the focus. That's where the energy is. It's on those possessions, making money, etc. Mars shows the ambition, the drive is there. There's a bit of greediness, a bit of tension, maybe a bit of like insecurity, restlessness, anxiety in that area. But Mercury's there as well, showing learning, increased activity, busyness, etc. Again, all having to do with those possessions, income, making money, but also spending money. Okay, part of that spending money may just have to do it's having to do with supporting yourself. So any material basic needs, that's what I'm talking about, but also anything having to do with investing in things that will enhance the pleasure of your life as well, luxurious items or pastimes. All of that is just generally the focus, not only throughout late October, but also as we start the month. And again, there may have been some major transformations or changes that have just recently occurred having to do with how you support yourself, how you make money, how you spend money, etc. Okay, that's the main focus. I did also want to touch on Venus before I go into some key dates for November for you. Venus, of course, is your ruling planet, right? You are known for your Venusian energy, that love and pleasurable energy, right? You are, definitely one of the more charismatic signs. However, Venus is in Virgo. Venus is in your 12th house. So that Venus energy is kind of MIA for you. It's actually a little bit sad. Of course, there are plus sides to this. Of course, you can use this to your advantage. But generally speaking, Venus in the 12th house, you can still connect with Venus energy. In other words, you can still connect with that abundance, pleasure, desire, etc. It just may be a little bit more difficult or unnatural to do so right now than normal. And again, you typically don't have this problem. You typically are really great with, being pleasurable and what's the word? Like, having an aura that others enjoy, and vice versa. Finding what you enjoy as well. But again, with Venus in your 12th house, all of that may just not come quite as natural to you. It may just feel MIA. And to get a little bit deeper with this, again, it's not that the pleasure is not accessible at all. It's just that, for one, you may be enjoying spending time on your own a little bit more right now, for sure. You may be a little bit more reclusive. You may just, it's kind of like a resting energy. It's a resting period. So you may just enjoy having a little bit of space just to do nothing, so to speak, just to rest. This is what's necessary because you're basically integrating right now. You're going through an integrating process. Again, specifically having to do with that desire and pleasure. You are kind of re-examining, your whole relationship to that aspect of reality, if that makes sense. Okay, but like I said, I want to give you some key dates for November on some changes that will occur for you. So the first one is Saturday, November 4th of 2023. This is the day where Saturn turns direct at 0 degrees Pisces. So basically, on a more general level, what it means for all signs is that, we're going to have more of a heavy Saturnian energy, that responsibility, need for dedication and practicality, all that good stuff that we may not like to do, but we have to do to be mature and responsible, right? That energy is coming back online with Saturn turning direct. It's going to be heavier. So that can be a bit depressing or stressful, but it can also push us to become wiser and better people, right? So for you specifically, this is in your 6th house. So In other words, for the past several weeks, you may have been learning a lot and like re-examining your lifestyle, your health, your nutrition. You may have made some changes in those areas. So now, as Saturn's turning direct, you're going forward and applying that energy in a more direct, more like productive way, if that makes sense. So rather than being in the phase where you're learning a lot and like re-examining things, now is not so much the time to do that. Now you're going forward with what to do now. How you want to live your life. Whatever it is with your lifestyle, diet, not just nutrition, exercise, but also it also has to do with like money to some extent. Not really making money, but more like when it comes to being frugal, that type of thing. All these things are definitely not the most exciting things to talk about, but it's like the maintenance of life basically. So in all of these areas going forward from November 4th, you may feel a bit, of heaviness, of responsibility. But again, on the other hand, there's this clarity there. You know what is right for you, you know what you want in these areas, and you know what to do going forward. So my only advice is just, Saturn it doesn't always have to be bad. Just take ownership of yourself. Have some kind of loose, goals in these areas, intentions, and just be responsible. And Saturn will actually reward you in these areas of lifestyle and diet or whatever. Okay, so it doesn't have to be bad as long as you are being responsible. So, not the most fun message, but that's just how Saturn kind of works. Okay, moving forward to November 8th, this is the day where Venus finally leaves Virgo and enters Libra. I think this is really exciting for you. I think for any person, it's really great to have Venus in your own sign. Venus makes things desirable and pleasurable. It boosts your charisma, it makes you more attractive, and it also makes it easier for you to find what you find attractive as well. So anyone would enjoy this, but, again, specifically for you, because Venus is your chart ruler, or no, not your chart ruler, but whatever placement you have in Libra, Venus rules over that, right? So because of that, you'll feel this even more than a typical person, if that makes sense. Also, just the transition from, Venus in 12th house to Venus in first house, it's a very powerful transition. You go from kind of lacking that energy of abundance and pleasure and desire. That energy was so hard to connect with for the last few weeks. It was neither here nor there. It was fleeting. You found it in moments of solitude. So now this is dramatically different going forward after November 8th. Now you are immersed in this energy. It is fully ripe and abundant. You have reconnected with it in a much more powerful way. So again, you may be much more desirable, pleasurable, easy. Others will enjoy your company more going forward, and again, it goes both ways. You will find you'll find what you find pleasurable much easier and in more abundance going forward. I feel like a fortune cookie. But that's generally what happens with these types of transits. Of course, you have free will. You can maximize or minimize these aspects depending on how you choose to operate, if that makes sense. But that's just generally what tends to happen with that kind of ingression or transit. Okay, moving forward a couple days to November 10th, this is the day where Mercury changes signs from Scorpio to Sagittarius. And this brings me to, honestly, the main theme for November is that, those three planets that we started out the month with in Scorpio, Mercury, Mars, Sun, they will all each, one by one move into Sagittarius this month. So, in other words, the focus is gradually shifting from Scorpio to Sagittarius. All right. So what does this mean? So for you, the focus is shifting from second house to third house. Second house, again, I talked about how it has everything to do with income and supporting yourself, money, making money, spending money. Third house has a lot more to do. It's more social. It has more to do with your short distance travel around your neighborhood or city or wherever is near to you, short distance travel, and then also casual relationships. So any neighbors, acquaintances, coworkers, friends, all those kind of just people that you see on a daily basis that you can connect with. It has to do with connections in general, right? So that's generally where the focus is going to be shifting to. Going forward from November 10th with Mercury now in your third house, that's showing that you're maybe a little bit more busy. You may be again, having more of that short distance travel, more communications, more of, chatting, casual conversations, etc. And then also maybe more learning or more thinking about these types of things as well going forward. And I want to highlight too, Mercury, wherever Mercury is, there tends to be a sense of busyness. So you may be more busy with those relationships, busy with short distance travel, etc. Sorry. Monday, November 13th, there is a new moon at 20 degrees Scorpio. I'm showing you that chart now. So 20 degrees Scorpio, it's showing, we still are not done with Scorpio season. This is an initiation. It's a beginning, just like a new moon sounds like, right? I always say, we should probably always be a little bit more aware of our intentions, right? I think that's something, we can all work on, but especially during a new moon, what do you want? You're not going to get what you want if you don't even know what you want, right? So that's always true, but especially on a new moon, this is the time for manifestation. It's not a beginning in the sense that you are like, it's not the best time to launch some kind of huge new project or take some kind of action. This is the time where you plant the seed. So that's why intentions are so important on and around the new moon. Specifically, this still has to do with your second house. It's a new beginning. It's an opportunity for, setting those new intentions, reevaluating your relationship with your finances and how you support yourself. And I'm not trying to stress you out. It doesn't have to be stressful. We can break it down on a more abstract level. How are you supporting yourself? How are you ensuring that your needs are met in a long-term way? I guess that still sounds kind of stressful or kind of naggy, but that's basically what it's about. So this may be an opportunity to revitalize these things. Are you making money in the best way for you, the way that's most enjoyable, the way that will meet your needs in the best way? Are you spending money in the way that's most enjoyable or will meet your needs in the best way, right? What are your intentions surrounding those types of things? And if you're not really sure, it can be very basic. I want to support myself in the way that's healthiest and happiest for me. Boom, that's an intention. That's totally valid. You can build on those more simplistic intentions to get to more specific and more powerful ones, right? But they're all powerful. So anyways, I think these are the things that I would suggest thinking about around the new moon, because going forward in those following days and weeks after the new moon, that's where you may see, a lot of change with new ways of supporting yourself, new ways of making money, maybe new ways of spending money as well. That's, equally important, right? So that's what that new moon is generally about for you. Okay, going forward to Wednesday, November 22nd. This is the day where Sun leaves Scorpio and it will join Mercury in Sagittarius. So, I think you tend to blend pretty well with Sagittarius energies. Sagittarius is sextile to your sign of Libra. So, sextiles are harmonious aspects. They are beautiful. There's harmony there. There's enough difference to have some kind of like multi-dynamism, if that makes sense, multifacetedness. But there's enough similarity to blend with the energy very readily, if that makes sense. So, in other words, generally speaking, depending on your other placements, of course, whatever you have in Libra, Sagittarius placements blend very well. This is like holiday season in the West and in the United States. This is the energy of celebration and having fun, and it's party energy, right? That's what Sagittarius is all about. And again, we can break it down by house as well. Now you have not only Mercury in your third house, but also the Sun as well. So you are just that much more focused on that short distance travel and all your casual friendships, being the little social butterfly that you are as a Libra. That's generally the focus increasingly now as we have Sun and Mercury in Sagittarius in your third house. Okay, going forward to Friday, November 24th. Now Mars finally joins Mercury and the Sun as well in Sagittarius. Yes. So it's just that much more of a focus in that same area. Short distance travel, those casual connections and friendships, siblings, neighbors, whatever it is, coworkers. You're communicating more, you're learning more, you're focusing more on those areas. With Mars there, you may be more ambitious. Your ambitions may have more to do with building those relationships, building those friendships, socializing. or your ambitions may have more to do with short distance travel, enjoying your neighborhood or city or part of your state or country, whatever is considered local to you. It's all relative. Also with Mars, though, Mars is kind of a double-edged sword, so to speak. Mars is a malefic. On the one hand, it does bring drive and ambition to wherever it is, so that's generally good, right? But it also brings some tension as well. So yes, you're more focused on that short distance travel and these connections and all that stuff. You, on some level, you may have more enjoyment in these areas. You're just naturally more motivated in those areas. But at the same time, there could be some like tension or competitiveness, maybe some irritability, just a little bit. I'm not saying this to freak you out. That's not the overall vibe, but that is, a possibility with Mars there. So I just wanted to give you a heads up of that going forward. And I just wanted to note now we have, Mercury, Sun, and Mars all in Sagittarius. There are now no Scorpio planets at all. And yeah, I think you'll generally enjoy this. Scorpio is such a heavy energy, and you, Libra, you are not really heavy. You like to keep things light and detached. So I think Sagittarius will be an energy that you more readily blend with, going forward. I think things will get generally easier and lighter for you, basically. Or a different way of saying that is like things have already become easier and lighter for you now that we have these 3 planets in Sagittarius. I hope that makes sense. Okay, and then jumping to the last date I wanted to give you, this is Monday, November 27th, 2023. This is the day of a full moon, and this full moon will occur in your sister sign, so to speak, of Gemini, specifically at 4 degrees Gemini. I'm showing that chart now. The moon at 4 degrees Gemini will oppose the sun at 4 degrees Sagittarius. And I always say with full moons, it has to do with the sign of the sun almost as much as the sign of the moon, if that makes sense. It has to do with both of them, both Sagittarius and Gemini, and that axis, that polarity that they create. So what does that mean for you? Well, for one, having a full moon in Gemini is a very similar sign to you. I would say probably the most similar sign to you. So this, again, it's an energy that you connect with very readily. It's, you're in your element, so to speak. You're thriving, you're having a good time. At least that's what I would say for most Libras. Of course, it depends on your individual placements and your free will. But generally speaking, a full moon in Gemini, yes, it may be chaotic. It may be a bit crazy. Chaotic, crazy, that's what full moons are, especially a full moon in Gemini, right? But Gemini, it's agreeing with you. You're similar enough, you're close enough to Gemini that this full moon is basically like empowering such a similar energy to what you are that it's basically empowering you. You're in your element, you know how to deal with this, you're vibing, you're feeling strong, right? You're feeling very much yourself at this time. That's what I would kind of forecast. So that's generally the focus. Specifically though, sun in 3rd house, moon in 9th house. So okay, so yeah, so this may have a lot to do with like learning in general. You may be very curious at this time. You may be, this could play out a lot of different ways. There's something going on to kind of expand your consciousness at this time. And I know that sounds vague, but honestly, it kind of is, because you can do that in so many different ways. It may be kind of like a book smart thing. You may be very curious, like learning some kind of like academia, or it could be some kind of adventure, like traveling, associating with people who have different beliefs or who come from a different background in some kind of way. I don't know. You may be just kind of privy to information that you typically wouldn't be. You are learning new things. You're maybe open in a new way that you maybe weren't before, or something like that. There's some kind of adventure, trip, class. You're some kind of opportunity around this time where you are learning in a more empowered way, if that makes sense. Okay, so yeah, that's basically what I have what I have for you. And at this time, I just like to note how different the chart looks compared to what we started the month with. I think this month things are going to generally become a lot easier and lighter for you. We start out with such heavy energies. There's so much, 3 planets in Scorpio with Venus in Virgo. They're just such very heavy energies, right? And again, you are not the heaviest energy. You like to keep things light. So I think you'll find that things become much more comfortable and easier for you throughout the month. especially by the end of the month where we have 3 planets in Sagittarius with Venus in Libra. It's just going to become, much more natural for you as time goes on. Okay, but yeah, enjoy the month. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Have a great month.